Hi there, this is Teri from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be playing with stencils, or masks as Stampin' Up calls them. Stampin' Up currently have 2 packs of 4 masks. There's the Pattern Party decorative masks and also the basic pattern decorative masks. Firstly, these are the designs that come with the Pattern Party decorative masks. These are the designs you get in the basic patterns decorative masks, and these are the ones we're using today. I'm going to show you how to emboss using them, and then 4 simple techniques that you can use afterwards to enhance your projects. The first thing I want to do is to talk to you briefly about the sandwich you need for your die cutting machine when embossing stencils. Now, I only have the Big Shot, so I can't give you any reference for other die cutting machines. So my knowledge is purely based around the Big Shot. Now, if you were die cutting a normal thin die, your sandwich would be something like the base plate, thin die adapter, bottom acrylic plate, cardstock, die, top acrylic plate. Now, my ideal sandwich for embossing stencils is the platform, a bottom acrylic plate, our silicone craft sheet, cardstock, then the stencil, and then instead of using a top clear acrylic plate, I use our blue 3D embossing plate. Now, Stampin' Up designed this to go with our new 3D embossing folders, which are now created by a new manufacturer. Using the plate means you get a lovely deep impression with your 3D folders, and the same applies when using the stencils. Now, of course, not everyone will have the blue plate, even if they've got a Big Shot. And also, not everyone will have our silicone craft sheet. So I tried to have a look and see what other sandwiches I could create that would give you good results. If you own our Big Shot embossing mats, which are now retired, you can use them to emboss your stencils. Now, the sandwich you need is very similar. So you have your platform, your bottom acrylic plate, your blue mat, cardstock, stencil, and then you can use the white plate that comes in the set. Now, this plate is thicker than our normal clear acrylic plates, but it's not quite as thick as the blue plate. So what you probably will find is that you need cardstock shims on top of your sandwich, and this could be any number. Alternatively, you might have one of these black silicone mats lying about. Now, I bought this one years ago, even before I became a demonstrator. Now, so for this sandwich, again, they're all very similar. So I've got my black mat, my cardstock, my stencil, and then I can use my clear acrylic plate with some shims. The important thing to remember here is that you can build your sandwich through various methods, but what you mustn't do is force a sandwich through your Big Shot machine. Now, we've all been there when we've tried to do this, and you know when it's too much for the machine. So never go past that point. If it feels like your sandwich is too thick, then it's probably too thick. Don't force it through and break your machine. Another indication that your sandwich is probably too thick is if when you run it through you have the silicone mats squeezing out through the back of your sandwich. So if you notice that, then you want to remove a shim or two. You'll probably find that your cardstock's also moved, or it hasn't embossed it in a regular fashion. It's sort of stretched the pattern somewhat. So watch out for that as well. So to recap, we've got 3 different plates that you can use, and then I've also got 3 different floppy silicone mats that I can use to build my sandwiches, and they're all basically the same, you just adjust with shims. So now for the actual embossing. Now my ideal sandwich, to remind you, is the base plate, bottom acrylic plate, silicone craft mat, my cardstock is normal weight Whisper White, and then the stencil. And I'm going to make sure that I centre the pattern on the stencil with my cardstock. Then I'm going to use my blue plate and run it through my Big Shot. And this is the result you get. You get a lovely, deep, crisp impression. For my second one, I'm switching to crumb cake cardstock and I'm using the tree stencil. So the sandwich is exactly the same. And again, the results you get are amazing. For my third one, I'm going back to normal weight Whisper White, and I love this stencil. It's sort of very Baroque-ish. It's beautiful. And this is the result you get. For my last one, again Whisper White, normal weight, and it's the polka dot stencil. Again, I'm centering that pattern. And this is the beautiful result. These are all the beautifully embossed mats that I've just created. And now I'm going to go through 4 quick and simple techniques that I can do with them. All I'm going to do for my first mat is spritz it with some shimmer spray, and I've created this shimmer spray myself using isopropyl, which is rubbing alcohol, and this is at 70%, and also our frost white shimmer paint. I've filled my sprayer to about 3/4 of the way full, and then I've added about 15 drops of the frost white shimmer paint. And then you just want to give it a shake to mix it together. Now we do have another option of shimmer paint, which is a champagne mist, which is more of a goldy, a pale gold. So I'm going to give this another good shake to make sure it's thoroughly mixed. And then from about 12 inches, I'm going to spritz my cardstock all over. The result you get with this is really quite lovely, although it's difficult for the camera to pick it up. You get a lovely, bright, glowing sheen on the card. This is the card I created with that panel. On the inside, I decorated the mat with another small piece of Whisper White that I embossed and sprayed with the shimmer. Now the stamp set I used is the Christmas Gleaming, and I used the sentiment and the holly and the berries. The holly and the berries were cut out by hand. Now the berries I covered with some of our new shimmery crystal effects, which has a lovely glitter in it. And you just cover the berries and then leave them to dry. The sentiment mat was cut out using one of the rectangle stitched framelit dies, and I used another one to create the green mat that goes underneath it, and I used a technique on my Big Shot to make this smaller. The holly and the berries were coloured using the Stampin' Blends markers. The little gems are our red rhinestone basic jewels. For my second mat, I'm going to use my Clear Wink of Stella pen, and all I'm going to do is cover all the raised areas on the mat, so this will make them shimmer and sparkle. And this is how it will look when it's all finished and dry. It's really lovely. And this is the card I created with that mat. Inside I stamped the two deer images using some of our new Delicata Golden Glitz ink. I love the shimmer on the front of this card. Now the die I used for the deer comes from the Detailed Deer Thinlits dies. And the sentiment came from the Dashing Deer stamp set. And that's where I had the images of the deer as well. Now the ribbon is real red with gold trim, and we haven't actually got ribbon like that. What I've used is the metallic edge gold ribbon, and I've coloured it using the dark red Stamping Blends marker. For my third mat, I've fixed my cardstock using temporary adhesive onto my silicone mat, and then I've placed the stencil back over the cardstock. Now all I'm going to do with this one is, using my makeup brushes, I'm going to apply some of our Delicata Silvery Shimmer ink all over, and that will cover all those raised areas with a lovely silver sheen. When you think you've finished, you can lift the bottom of the stencil and just check, and if you're happy you can remove it, and this is how it will look. And this is the card I produced with it. It's very simple this time. The sentiment inside was also stamped with the Silvery Shimmer ink. The sentiment this time comes from our Greatest Part of Christmas stamp set, and so does the sentiment I use for the inside of the card. And this is one of our host sets in the Autumn Winter catalogue. I cut out the sentiment using that same die from the Stitched Rectangle set, and the pearls are some of our silver metallic pearls. For my last card, I've also again fixed my cardstock and stencil back onto my silicone mat. I've also used my embossing buddy on my card mat before positioning it again. Now I'm going to go over the whole thing, pressing Versamark ink all over the stencil. Then I can remove the stencil and cover the cardstock in embossing powder. Now the embossing powder I'm using is a new one. It's our Shimmer White powder, which is a white embossing powder with silver glitter in it. It's really pretty. Then I can melt this using my heat tool. And this is what it looks like once it's all melted. And this is my final card. Now the colours I've used here are Pool Party and Smoky Slate. On the image panel, all the glitter is the Dazzling Diamonds glitter, and I coloured my image using the Stamping Blends. I used the silver metallic edge ribbon, and the sentiment was stamped with Memento Tuxedo Black and then overstamped with Versamark and embossed with clear powder. The image comes from the Snowman Season stamp set, and so does the sentiment. The image panel was cut out using the Stitch Shapes framelit dies, the second to largest circle, and then the mat behind it was the third to largest scalloped circle from the Layering Circles dies. And that's it, all my cards are complete. So I've shown you how to emboss using stencils, and then 4 very simple finishing techniques that you can use to finish off your cards. I hope you'll give some of this a try. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.